Well, greetings here from sunny California. I'm out here in the Tehachapi Mountains. You can see it has been snowy and chilly here. That's a little higher elevation. We've been going through some crazy blizzards, and part of the reason I wanted to do this video now is because I think this is a perfect time to show you my Outsunny greenhouse. The first thing you'll notice if this is the greenhouse you decide to purchase, or if you have purchased one already, is it's all made of plastic and aluminum. So if you live somewhere windy like I do, it's imperative that you find a way to attach it to the ground, and it does not come with a way to do that. I knew this before buying, so it wasn't a big deal for me. What I have done is, first of all, when I'm installing it, when you're installing yours, it needs to be a full day job with at least 2 people. I cannot stress that enough. If you're doing this by yourself, you're going to have a bad time. What I ended up doing was a friend and I worked on it, and we spent like 8 hours on it, start to finish with almost no breaks. And one of us was here literally holding it together before any light breeze took it away, and the other one was furiously trying to find which panel goes where. A big hard part of it is that none of the panels are measured the same length. None of the panels are labeled correctly. All the frame and all, the aluminum parts snap together great. The plastic part's going to give you a hard time, though. We did that. We got it together, and I added these little pieces of hardware. You can find this sort of thing at Home Depot. You can see I did an eyelet like that, and then a nut, and then a washer. There's a washer and a nut on the other side. Because again, this is aluminum. You want it to brace nicely and not flex too much. So I attached that first with some tent stakes, which are still down there, and into these nice, thick, sturdy T-posts. Let's say these are 8 or 10 foot T-posts that I banged way into the ground, and then just attached it with some wire. Literally just did a length of wire through the hole, wrapped it around a few times, then back to the hole, and wrapped it off. And you can take something like a wrench or a stick and twist it up until that tightens. And it ends up looking kind of nice too, despite already being rusty. And it will help tension it for you. So get that stake good in the ground, get your wire there, and then tension it up. And I did 1, 2, 3, 4 of these around the sides. Another thing I'll show you I did, this may seem kind of funny, but I had a bunch of bricks out in our field. We live on 2.5 acres. Previous owners had some projects, some good, some bad, and left a lot of bricks behind. So there's a walkway out there to that old broken down fountain in my field. And I harvested all the bricks from that to put in here as flooring. So you can see in here, it's primarily this concrete block, which is great. I use these. Saved close to $1 a brick on it in my area. And then we also got some red brick on the property, and only had to end up buying like 80 bricks from the store total out of close to maybe 300. So we saved a lot of money that way. As we're in the greenhouse, you can see a few little things I added. I brought a folding chair. That's just so I can come sit out here and enjoy it. As I'm building it, I come out every night to see what the temperature is. But I don't have to come out every night because I have this awesome thermometer. You can see we're sitting at a toasty 77.1 degrees right now. That's pretty darn good considering it is, despite the sun, below freezing here today. SwitchBot is the brand for this. It's a Bluetooth thermometer, hygrometer. It fits snugly right there, and it will give you all the data you need. It'll tell you all your overnight temperatures. If you have Bluetooth on and you have a good phone, you can set it to give you alarms, say if it goes over 100 or under 32, so you can come out and do something about it. Primarily for me, I just click on it every so often. I like to look at the graphs and see how temperature is being retained through the night, etc. When you first install it, it's going to be cold at night. What you need in your greenhouse is a thing called thermal mass. So there's ways to get that. One way I did it was with adding all this brick into the floor. I basically put it all in, choose whatever pattern you want. It's not going to fit exactly. You can break bricks to make them fit if you want. What I did was I put sand on the floor to level it, and then once I added the bricks, I swept more sand between the cracks. Anywhere that was missing a brick got packed hard with sand. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of movement in here. It's not meant to be a pro-looking job. This is a DIY at-home situation using salvaged materials. So it's not a, I'm not claiming to be a pro of any kind. I'm sure I did something wrong with the bricks that someone in the comments can point out, and that's fine. This is the way I did it. Another thing here, this is your ventilation. You only have passive ventilation in here. So you can open up this, and that'll vent out air from the hottest part of the greenhouse. That should work for most of the year. The hottest parts of the summer, though, is where I'm concerned. So right there in that central panel, I'm going to install a solar-powered exhaust vent with a thermostat that will kick on if it gets, say, above 75 degrees and start moving some of this extra hot air out in the hottest days of summer. And this, of course, is going to be a hassle listening to the phone alarm every time it gets hot and having to come out and open this. They do have automatic greenhouse window hinges you can install. It's literally just a wax cylinder that melts, and it will pop it open once it gets too hot out here for your plants. So both options. Another way I'm keeping it hot at night in here, it just keeps it above freezing. It's not perfect, okay? But there's a candle and a cinder block with a pot over it. I leave a crack there for airflow. I've got this little piece of extra aluminum I had laying around for airflow on the bottom. So that can keep it warm out here at night. You got the thermal mass from the bricks. The bricks are absorbing heat during the day from the sun and releasing them into the greenhouse like a battery at night. In addition to that, you may have noticed I have 4 big water barrels in here. Ideally they would all be black, but in my area, one of them was blue. And so I can either spray paint that, or I'm just going to put a big black contractor's bag over it and call it a day. I don't like the smell of spray paint. I don't want it in my greenhouse. I want my greenhouse to smell fresh and clean. So I am not going to spray paint it. For those of you who have done it and it doesn't bother you, that's great. That's fine. I'm glad you did it that way. Now, typically, to determine how much thermal mass in terms of water you need in your greenhouse, you go ahead and you take the square footage of the greenhouse and multiply it by, I want to say, 2.5. So this is a 6x10 greenhouse, so 60 times 2.5, you get about 150 gallons. I went overkill and got an extra one. Because, you never know when you can use a spare barrel for something. I can always take it out if it stays too hot in here. But these right across the way on the south side will create a very nice shelf. So I'm going to have some plants on it, with a rack across it here soon. And so that'll be shelf 1. Over here on this side, I'm going to put basically cinder blocks and wire racks and make shelves over here. I have all that stuff on hand. So I always say reduce, reuse, recycle, upcycle. If you have something, some sort of junk, some sort of, one man's trash on your property that you can use it. If you don't, there's secondhand shops, there's junk shops, or if you have too much money and not enough sense, you can always go buy stuff brand new. So, that is what I'm doing so far. Now, one last thing. This is a little bit of a janky solution, I'm aware, but there's no way to keep this closed. So if I'm working out here when it's windy, you can keep it closed from the outside just fine because there's a latch. They didn't include one from the inside, so I literally just have a hoop clamp that goes on my PVC pipes out in my garden for my low tunnels, and I just am going to clip it there, stretch it apart right to there. Boom. We are closed, and this will work wonders until I decide to install something more permanent, but that's what I have for now. So it is hot out here, so I'm going to step outside, and yeah, so that's the greenhouse so far. I'm I wouldn't recommend against the Outsunny greenhouse. For the price, the whole thing was 400 bucks. And, you know, the bricks were almost free. The water barrels were $30 a piece. So we're getting out of this whole deal pretty cheaply. And once it's all put together, it's a very nice structure. But it is going to be a pain in the ass for you to build it. So think about that before you buy. I can't recommend for or against it yet because I haven't really used it. But it has taken some modifications. You can see I've caulked around every single window inside and out. Reason for that is that none of these panels are cut to the exact length as the others. They don't snap in perfectly. You don't want them blowing away. So, you know, buy yourself 5-10 tubes of caulk if you're going to do this project. And then another thing that wasn't included was I got this piece of galvanized steel siding. And that's literally because if you look under here, you can see a ton of goop. I don't know if it's catching on the camera. But this panel in particular was short. A couple of the other panels were short. So there was a crack where rain could easily get in. So I'm going to say this was like $6. I got some self-tapping screws drilled into the top gable there. And went back over it with some caulk, some waterproof caulk. And that seems to have solved the problem pretty handily. Other than that, if you have any questions, you can put them down in the comments. Now that I've gone through this experience, I can say it is doable. I'm not that handy. Thank God I had a very handy friend with me to help. So get your handiest friend, offer him a 6-pack and dinner, and maybe an extra 50 bucks because it is a huge pain in the ass. And, you know, get him over here to help you. And it can be done. So hope you have a great weekend. I will go inside before the snow starts falling again. We're supposed to have more blizzard over the next few days. And yeah, thank you for watching my video, guys.